Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Now, if there's one thing you guys need to know about me, it is that I love a tradition. There are certain videos that I like to do every single year around the same time of the year to kind of just serve as like an updated view of what my reading, book collection, whatever was like at that point in time. So for the last 3 years, I've been doing physical TBR updates. And that's what we're gonna be doing today. We're gonna be going through my shelves, pulling off all of my unread books, and kind of just talking about them. I find this to be really helpful for me personally because I can, you know, physically look at all of my unread books in one spot and kind of like remember what I could potentially read. Now, I know I could always have just like a TBR cart or a TBR shelf where I could put all of the books together, but I don't want to do that. So that's what this video is for. I'm just gonna get a little bit of an updated look at the books that I have on my shelves. Maybe I'll make some reading plans, like vague reading plans for the rest of the year. Let's stand up and let's go pull some books off. All right, so I'm gonna start with my vampire shelf slash kind of like red, white, and black shelf. I don't think there are too many on here that I haven't read, but I do have a couple. I think maybe it's 3. I think 3. So I have The Vampire Lestat by Anne Rice, which I really want to read at some point. I feel like every time I pull this book off of my shelves and like just show that I have it, so many of you guys are like, oh my gosh, you need to read it. And I'm like, I know, guys, like I'm going to, I promise. I read Interview with the Vampire a couple of years ago, and one of my main complaints was that Lestat was super annoying. But a couple of you guys told me that like it's a lot better in this one, so I'm interested to see if I agree. I also just love a good vampire book, so maybe I'll pick this up in October. I have so many other vampire books on my mental TBR that I want to read, so hopefully I can get to this one. I do also have Mina and the Undead by Amy McCaw, which I've been meaning to read for so long, and I feel like I need to make sure I read this fall because I think I started this at one point and I was really liking it. And then I also have The Clackety by Laura Senf, which I also started at one point and didn't finish, but it's just like a fun middle grade horror, and I love some middle grade horror, so like I need to make sure I read this kind of soon as well. We'll see if I get to it this year. I don't know. But we are at 3 for our total, which I'm gonna like put on the screen so we can like keep count as we go. You guys will know how many there are, but like I'm not gonna know how many there are. Moving down here, I have my Veronica Speedwell shelf. Obviously, all of those are read. I would love for there to be an unread Veronica Speedwell book on this shelf, but alas, there is not. And then down here, this is kind of like a random assortment of books. I feel I don't really know like what this shelf right here is. So like I have not finished the New and Selected Poems of Mary Oliver. I think I almost unhauled this at one point. I'm not going to yet. I have Letters from Father Christmas by Tolkien, which I have been meaning to read every single Christmas and then I don't, so that really sucks. I feel like the emerging theme on this shelf is like winter books that I can't read right now because it's not winter, but I have literally a book called Winter, The Story of a Season by Val McDermid. This is literally just, you know, like a book about winter. And I think I bought this like kind of at the end of winter. So in my defense, I haven't gotten a chance to read it yet, but like hopefully this winter I'll read it. Kind of same thing with Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. This one is a bit like outside of my comfort zone when it comes to like the kind of books that I normally pick up, but I wanted to try something different and then I never read it. And I think this is also like more of a wintry read, so I want to read it in winter. And then I also have Blood in the Mist by Hope Mirrlees, which again I started and I didn't finish, which I do a lot apparently. But this is like a classic fantasy fairy kind of book, and obviously I'm gonna keep it and read it at some point. So we have added, yikes, 5 books on to my count. Then I guess I'll just move on to like these top 3 shelves. I think I have a lot on these 3 shelves because I've been buying frankly way too many classics this year. I decided to kind of like split up my classics based on like read and unread. So everything from Jamaica Inn over, like going a couple shelves further that way, are my read classics, and then these are like my unread classics. Although I don't know why I'm telling you this right now because we're not on this shelf yet, but like we're gonna be taking a lot off of this shelf, so we'll do this shelf first. This is kind of like my horror spooky shelf. I think a lot of these on this shelf are read, so that's good. What have I not read? I still have not read From the Dust Returned, a TBR veteran. You know how many TBRs I've put this on? Actually, I don't even want to talk about it. Don't talk to me about it. Trick or Treat, A History of Halloween. This one's like a nonfiction. I don't really care if I'm like, you know, getting to this immediately, but it's kind of like maybe I'll read a bit of it every now and then. I haven't read Mina and the Slayers. This is the sequel to Mina and the Undead, so obviously I have not read this one. And then I think the only other one on this shelf that I haven't read is Welcome to Camp Nightmare, which is a Goosebumps book. I bought this to read during Summerween and then I didn't read it during Summerween, but now I have my Goosebumps pick for next year, so that's great. So we're adding 4 onto the total, which is honestly more than I was thinking it might have been. And then we can literally take off like this whole chunk of books. Well, actually, I don't know why I have this copy of Jane Eyre there. I have read Jane Eyre, but like the rest of these, haven't read them. God, this is terrible. I'm not gonna go through like all of these like super in depth because we'll be here forever. I can't even pull them all off right now because there's so many of them. I just love buying classics. And like the thing with classics is that like, they're always gonna be classics. Like I could wait 30 years to read these and it would literally be no problem. So like, what can you do? But we have like The Bell Jar, which I really want to read. Letters to a Young Poet, which low-key I kind of think I need to unhaul because I read half of it earlier this year. Didn't really care for it at all. And every time I think about finishing it, I'm like, no. So I'm like, why do I still own it? I don't know. But I have like The Enchanted April, which I need to read next April. Evelina by Frances Burney. I need to set some of these down. This one I'm really excited about. I have the Selected Journals of Ella Montgomery, Volume 1. I recently picked this up and I cannot wait to dive into this one. I have White Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys. Midsummer Night's Dream. The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. I have What Are You, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Then I also have A Tale of Two Cities, which has made it through many unhauls. I think I've decided I am gonna hold on to this and like, you know, read it at some point, but still haven't read it yet. And then for the complete Sherlock Holmes, I think I might just put this back on the shelf because I've read like a decent amount of the stories in here. So like, I don't really care if I count this one as unread because I've read like some of them, so I'll just put it back. I'll do these really quickly. I have Stoner by John Williams, The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. Love this cover if I haven't said it enough. The Mysteries of Udolpho by Anne Radcliffe, Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, Emily of New Moon by Ella Montgomery, and The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole. This one I for sure want to read this October. I'm thinking I'll probably also, am I gonna attempt to read The Mysteries of Udolpho? I really want to, but it's just so long. So we're gonna see about that. I want to like kind of split my TBR into priority levels later, so we'll see where these end up. And I'm gonna leave this copy of Anna Karenina on here because I have a different copy of Anna Karenina because I'm insane, obviously. But these are like the other unread classics that I have. I think the rest of these I've read, maybe. Some of these like little mass markets I maybe haven't. We'll look at those in a sec. But these are like I really would like to read these soon classics. I have them like kind of already split into priority levels. So I have Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, which I'm for sure going to be reading this year because it is a part of my Voluminous Volumes book club, which is my big book club. I have 1984 by George Orwell, The Hound of the Baskervilles by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, which I really would like to read this fall. I have Mansfield Park, which I'm feeling less and less confident I'm going to be able to read this year, but it's here anyway. I have The Turn of the Screw, which again, I really want to read in like October. And finally I have North and South, which I'm also feeling less and less confident about being able to read this year, but we'll see. How many did I add? Oh my god, I added on so many. Oh, I haven't even gone through like this little thing. Hang on, let's look at these real fast. So out of this little stack, I have not read Street Haunting by Virginia Woolf, which I picked up at half price a little bit ago, and I'm super excited that I found it because I have some other little like of the tiny cloth bounds, you know? I do have another copy of The Turn of the Screw here, but I already pulled it off, so like I'll only count it as one. Same thing with The Hound of the Baskervilles, but I also have a copy of Macbeth on the bottom here, which I also have not read. So I don't even want to count for like how many I just pulled off of these two shelves. It's probably at least like 20. Hang on, I'll add it to the counter. Whatever it is, I'm sure it's bad. Okay, I promise it's gonna get a lot better from here. I feel like I started out with like some of the most offensive shelves in terms of like having unread books on them, so I swear it's gonna get better because this is my little Lord of the Rings shelf, which I've read all of them. I have like a little pink shelf here, which I've read all of them. As for this shelf, I have this book sitting here. It's the Supernatural book. It's kind of just, I didn't know where to put it, so it went there for the time being. But off of this shelf, I've read a decent amount of these aside from The Unicorn Hunters because I recently picked this book up, and I think that's it. I think I've read all of the other books that are currently on this shelf. I've read all of these books. Haven't read all the ones on the bottom shelf though, so let me pull those off. I have yet to read The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan, but I'm really hoping I can still read this year so I can continue the Wheel of Time and like not forget everything that I read in the first one. And then the only other book that I have on this bottom shelf is The Ice Dragon by George R.R. Martin. I picked this up at half price like last month. And it's like a little, I don't know if it's a children's story, I don't know if it's like a short story, but it looked really cool. And I thought it would be a really interesting way to try some George R.R. Martin without just like reading A Song of Ice and Fire. Yeah, but it's got like cool illustrations in it and such. So I think this will be a really good winter read, so I'm gonna save it for then. But I've only pulled off 4 books from all of these shelves that I haven't read, which honestly, I really needed that after what we have seen from the first 6 shelves. We're gonna move on to these couple of shelves, which I know I for sure have some unread books on, so I'm gonna take this down for a minute and that too. What have I not read? I have not read The Golden Road by Ella Montgomery, which I will pull off. I have a ton of Discworld books that I haven't read yet. I think I've only read four of the ones that I have? 4 or 3. I think it's just 3. So I read that, these, this, and this. I also have not read. One of these days, I'll get back into reading Discworld. Literally take a shot every time I say that in any of my videos, but one of these days, I will. That added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boo, that's too many. And then over on this shelf, I think I've read a decent amount of these, but I do still for sure have some unread ones. Sorry. Just like, this is where I like shove a bunch of decorations sometimes when I like don't know what to do with it. But let's see, I have not read The Rhythmatist by Brandon Sanderson, Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I really, really want to read this one this fall, I think. Hexologist I haven't read. The Exorcism of Fairies I haven't read. This is another one that like I want to read this fall. Last Unicorn I haven't read, but I think not too many more on this show. I think I only have 2 more. I have Wildwood Dancing by, oh, stay, no. It's like messing up my shelf so bad. Wildwood Dancing, another TBR veteran for sure, and Poison Study. Also have not read Poison Study. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's not what I want to hear. So these are all my read classics. Well, these are. The ones in the stack aren't, so we'll look at those in a second. But like all of these I've read, so that's good. But as for the stack, I've not read The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Miss Anne Bronte. And the only other one I haven't read is, of course, not easy to get to, but The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. So only 2 from this shelf, which is good. Obviously, I've read the Emily Wilde series. I've read almost all the books on this shelf. I have not read Assassin's Quest. I'm in the middle of Assassin's Quest. Will I ever finish it? I'd like to know that too, honestly. And then I also have not read Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Carissa Broadbent. I am just like not a huge fantasy romance reader anymore, at least like this kind of vibe for fantasy romance. I think I like my fantasy romance now a little bit more on like the lighter whimsical side, but I feel like I should still give this one a try because it's like vampires. Like, right? I should still read this. So only 2, right? Yeah, nope. I have not read Ship of Magic. I didn't let it slip through the cracks, don't worry. So 3. As for this shelf, I think the only book that I have not read yet is Malice by John Gwynne, which I don't exactly know if this book is gonna be my vibe either, but I feel like I'm always saying like, oh, I wanna read more high fantasy, and then I don't read the high fantasy that I like physically own. Then over on this shelf, I have 2. I think only 2 unread books. So I have The Bookshop, A History of the American Bookstore, which I got for Christmas last year. And then I also have Daughter of the Forest, which I kind of want to try to read this year. Maybe like fall kind of vibe, I don't know. But only 2 off of that one. And then do I have any more? Well, I have like 2 more, I think, total that are on my shelf. So let me grab them. So the only other 2 that I have are Uncharmed by Lucy Jane Wood, which I'm going to be reading this year for sure, and Starshipped by Cat Sebastian, which I was really excited about and then I kind of forgot about it, but I still want to read this. So these are the last 2 that I have on my shelves. But I also have this stack, which are a bunch of books that were on my August TBR. So added a solid, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, like 7 onto the total. I actually think this is gonna be a lot worse than I thought it was. What are you doing? You're gonna knock my stack of books over, do you mind? She literally does not care. So I've counted all of my books, of course with Daisy's help, and it actually, like, initially I thought it was gonna be better than this, and then as I was counting more and more, I was like, oh, it's like not great, is it? But now that I've done my final tally, I'm only at 71, which might be less than when we checked in last year. I need to watch the video. Hang on, we're gonna find out. Honestly, drumroll, please. It's only, that was a terrible drumroll. It was only 53 books. Oh shit, no, it got so much worse. For some reason, I was thinking it was in the 80s. Yeah, it's not. I've added, what did I say, 53? 53, I've added 18 books onto my physical TBR. Like, obviously the books have like, you know, there's a lot of fluctuation between like what books make up that 53 books. I feel like the general trend that I was having with like my physical TBR was that it was going like down and down and down. And now we have quite the upward trend, I guess, which like not the end of the world. Like my like relationship with my physical TBR, I'm kind of just like, for the most part, I don't really care how many books I have on it. I don't want it to be like a crazy amount. Like I don't want like triple digits on my physical TBR, but I just think it's kind of funny that I was like, no, like I think we're doing even better than last year. And it's clearly like really not. But I am gonna take a second to kind of organize the books a little bit, maybe pick out like my priority stack for the rest of the year. And I will get back to you once I have picked out that stack. All right, here are my book stacks done. This is kind of like my top priority. Like these are the ones that I want to read the most. And if I like don't read these, I will actively be sad about it. This stack is kind of like I really hope I can read them, but oh, I should not have tried to pick that up. No. The other stack is like I really would like to try to read these. If I don't, it's not the end of the world, but I was really gonna try and pick it up again. I just feel like you can't see the bottom books. There we go. I feel like being able to look at them in a stack is always more motivating than like just kind of, you know, putting them in a list or like just pointing them on a shelf or whatever. So yeah, I'm so excited about all of these, but it looks like quite the stack to read before the end of the year. And there you have it. That is the end of my physical TBR update. What have we learned? I think the only thing that we've learned is that I have bought way too many books so far this year. I could have told you that I have bought way too many books this year. Like my book buying is definitely above average right now. I just know. Like I just got a sense, like I just knew I was buying too many books. But being able to quantify it by seeing the obvious increase in like the amount of books that are on my physical TBR from like last year to now is good to know. Like I'm not gonna stop buying books, obviously, but I might like try to slow down a little bit. Although as I say that, I have 2 books that are coming to me in the mail today, so. But I enjoy doing these videos every single year, so I hope you guys find them interesting. I just always think it's fun to like get the books off the shelves, kind of make a loose plan for the rest of the year on what I want to prioritize and kind of maybe look towards the future, like early next year, for what I might want to read then. Obviously, I would love to know if you guys have a substantial physical TBR, how many books do you have on there? Do you have any really high priority books that you're hoping to read soon? I'd love to hear about those as well. Or if you are much better than me and you have like no books on your physical TBR, I don't want to hear from you. No, I'm kidding, it's fine. But with that, I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all having an amazing Monday or whatever day it is that you are watching this video. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye.